Hi everyone. So let's have a little revisit of the three treasures. So when we're looking at tonic herbalism, Taoist tonic herbalism, this is a real fundamental terminology and the entire intention and reason why tonic herbs exist and why they were identified as the superior herbs, and that's because they had the capacity to build our capacity to perceive and have a relationship, an ongoing building relationship to express these three treasures in our body long term over our lifetime. Now, that is a fundamentally different concept to the way a lot of clinical herbalism is practiced, where we're working on a symptomology or a problem, we overcome that problem, we undergo our life, whereas the tonic herbs are in that part where we just continue to go about our life. And in that life, we're not focused on solely the problems and the symptoms, but we want life to become richer. And it becomes richer by focusing on those three energies that the Taoists and many cultures and philosophies around the world identified as the three primary that can really make up our body and who we are. And there's Jing, Qi, and Shen, three treasures in everything around us, but we're going to focus on our body. And so these herbs, as I said, they are the ones that long term help us to gain a relationship and really augment them and express them and tonify them. So Jing is that first treasure. And so we're going to have a look at a little analogy, I guess, or just kind of a little bit more of a refined way of like understanding what is that Jing. So fundamentally, if we get the human body in, it's not animated yet. When it starts moving, that's when we start going to Qi. We're just looking at the potential for life, right? That's that Jing energy. So if we imagine we've just got that human body, we've got the bones, right? We've got the bones of the human body, literally the bones, and we've got the marrow in the bones, and that includes the brain. So we've got like knees and hips and spine and all these things that give us potential, as well as our genetics, our genes. And so these can be seen as all this Jing energy that we're born with. And then we look at the kidneys where the Jing lives, and we want to see that as like a battery. So if we're going to bring this thing to life, then we need a lot of charge in that battery. If we put those batteries in, which are the kidneys, and then we flick the life on switch, if there's no power in that battery, in the kidneys, no Jing, then we're not able to actually come to life. That's why Jing is that fundamental energy. But we are born with a lot of Jing in our kidneys. And the idea is to live a sustainable lifestyle that we don't burn through all that charge. And so that's that Jing. We'll plug those batteries in, and then we flick that switch, life on, and then because we have the power there, all of a sudden what can spark to life, what actually takes that almost inanimate body and starts moving it and moving thoughts around and moving fluids around and charging organs so that they can function, bringing that intelligent electromagnetic charge to cells so they can function on a day-to-day basis. That's the Qi. So the Qi is that spark of life, moving fluids, and the Qi energy is that which we are wanting to gain through our day-to-day lifestyle, especially through the food that we're eating, ensuring that we're able to extract Qi from that food, from the breath, from the sunshine, from water, like alive water. And the idea is we can continue to extract and gain and cultivate that Qi through our everyday life so that we can bring this spark to the machine. And that's our vitality and our ability to mobilize and be animated. And when we live unsustainably, we're not getting the Qi from our day to day. We're not living with the seasons. You know what I'm saying? I know this isn't an idealistic situation. It's not a black and white thing, but long term, when you're not doing that, then we need to go and actually start getting our energy from that battery pack, which we need to be there to literally be alive. So we don't want to be drawing from that Jing for too long. And so the idea is we can, live, living off that Qi on a day-to-day basis so that we've got that power in the battery sat there for when we get to 80 and 90, because when that's all gone and we're not really running on anything, that's when we need a lot of intervention and deterioration of our genes and our bones, and our structure can take place. Now, if you can get into a real harmonious flow, you've got a personal practice where Qigong and Yin Yoga, moving the body in beautiful ways, meditation as well, can help us to really cultivate more and more Qi, and we can gain an electromagnetic cultivation of charge within our organs. And that's the cultivation of Qi. And if you can, the Taoist sort, if you could really cultivate a lot of that energy, that intelligent electromagnetic energy that brings form, brings a formation to the way that they're moving, an intelligent formation. You can even cultivate so much that then you can start contributing back to that battery pack in the kidneys, and that's the idea of extending life. But you need to be dedicated to your practice, and so we have Jing herbs there to help us make sure that we're bringing extra charge to that battery and to the bones and to the marrow. And we've got the Qi herbs, those in the Qi blend, to help ensure that we're getting our spleen's getting everything it can from the food, and the lungs getting everything it can from the breath, and we're ensuring that we've got lots of vitality and charge to live day to day. And then from there, you can see we've got the potential in the genes, and we've got the Qi bringing all that to life and animating and helping those genes to express and helping us think and move through emotions. From there, what's the point of that? Well, the point of all that is that we can observe and be conscious of life. And so the lessons that we can draw from life, our capacity to gain wisdom and experience and observe, hey, there's a part of me that's been, say, like detrimental. I'm not enjoying being angry or frustrated for all those years, and we can work on that to take that and learn how to be, say, more virtuous and patient and compassionate, have the capacity to be in joy. That's our Shen energy, and that's quite often what's not present in more of a clinical medicine, which is fine, but that's the beauty of Taoism and these similar philosophies. As we go outside the clinic into the life, and we have a long-term focus on not only acknowledging the treasure and the energy that is our Shen, our consciousness, our virtuous nature that can come through when we can get the mind integrated with the body, allow it to be calm, meet life, and year after year after year, learn from our experiences, say, and that's the Shen energy, from it being animated, what we can enjoy and learn. And then we've got Shen herbs to facilitate that long term, and say, if we're in like that, Shen emerges from the heart, the spirit of the heart, and say we're in that fire heart season of summer, say, and we're engaged with life, and we're interacting with people, and we're expressing ourselves, and it's outward energy, and so we're gaining all this experience. And then there's a process year after year, and it happens day after day as well. There's little micro seasons occurring that we take all of that, and then we say we ground in after summer, and we'll just ground ourselves and come back down to earth, literally, in that spleen earth season. Then we move into autumn, which is more about the lungs, and that's where we can take a breath, and we can have a little acknowledgement of the year that was, say the summer that was, and we can have, say, some grief for that didn't work, grief for parts of ourselves that were, where we were doing the best we can, but we're ready to let those go. And we can mourn the summer that's going as well, and that time of big expression, and the lung, boom, that metal cuts away the tension and the holding on that we have from that experience. And then that experience, because the metals cut it, and the lung will allow that to then, those experiences that we had without attachment, that we're ready, some things ready to let go of, but we let go of the holding on and the attachment, and then it can sink down to the kidneys. And as we go down into that winter water season, those experiences can then, as we go into the yin, we can really turn that experience into wisdom and understanding of how we can become more of a virtuous person. The kidneys are all about that sage energy, and so we gain wisdom, we gain insight into how we can observe ourselves and watch ourselves, and where we're getting triggered as an angry person, say, consistently, a year after year, and learn year after year and year how to find ways to make that greater patience and so on and so forth. And then the season goes on through the liver and back up into that heart season when the Shen is really expressing the idea, through taking Shen herbs and having practices like meditation, working on ourselves psychologically, and having a dedication to becoming a more and more of your virtuous person that isn't projecting onto others. And you see that in people who are 80 and 90 and their capacity to be really comfortable in themselves and enjoy who they are, and and have the ability to share their wisdom with others. That's real strong Shen, soul really shining through the eyes. That's the difference why I really fell in love with this Taoist theory and this tonic herbal theory. It was because it had this focus very long term on ensuring that we had strong Jing, using Jing herbs, Qi through the Qi herbs, and ultimately Shen. So we can become ultra functional people that aren't projecting, and it's a long-term journey. We can't have that expectation on ourselves. That's a development of Shen in itself. Don't expect everything the perfection right now. Just have that long-term intent, through perhaps understanding of what your Shen is and how your consciousness and your spirit is able to come through, year after year with more efficacy. And those are the treasures, and that is what tonic herbalism is all about. And so you can understand why tonic herbalism and all the practices and lifestyle changes and upgrades that we're making in order to bring forth our treasures and tonify them more and more, you can see why it's a long-term game.